Hello Internet, that Geek Redhead here. This is video 6 of 7, I hope. This video is going to cover the covering of the armour pieces. I know, I'm hilarious. I'll also go into the colour mixing and painting of said pieces, and then what piece I had to redo. I hope you enjoy my fumbling. In this clip, you see me testing out different ways to adhere the spandex material onto my foam. Yes, I am using a spoon.
So, from a distance, I think that's going to look quite smashing. And I'm very pleased. I'm almost surprised at how well that worked. I genuinely thought that maybe I was pushing my luck a bit by not putting on any glue on the back of the fabric. But again, because it's fabric, it kind of absorbs the glue anyway, even when it's tacky. And the PVC coating, the spandex, plastic, whatever stuff, kind of protects the shininess without me having to accidentally bleed through. Sorry, every now and then I get a little win and I'm like, yay! Paintbrush seems obvious, but paint strokes. I haven't gone through the effort of making this just to have it ruined by paint strokes. I also don't want to spray paint it because that can crack. The whole point of getting this stuff is that it's still a little bit flexible. Maybe don't do that until it's until the damn thing is dry, like properly. But I think that paint will probably do okay if it comes out of an airbrush. Just deciding how, because it's fabric, I should probably use a fabric medium mixed with whatever paint I use. But at the same time, this is plastic, pretty much. It's just very thin, stretchy plastic. So I'll give it a go. This is why we do test pieces.
Speaking of test pieces, I tried a few variations of acrylic paint mixed with Mod Podge, PVA, and fabric medium to see what finish or flexibility I might get. I didn't film it, so apologies, but let's see the results.
Turns out I need many things, not least of which is a clear gloss coat of some sort of medium. I did many hours of research last night after I did the colour test, and frankly the difference is negligible. Ooh, you saw my lights come on. But you do lose the sheen of the plastic, and I looked into various ways to solve that. Most of it was dye the fabric first. Don't wanna. Also, at least for certain areas, it looks like there'll be like 2 different bits of varying colour. I don't know what I'm saying. It's been a long week. My point is, I don't want to dye it, and the reason I wanted to do like painting on it was so that I could have, a big batch of the correct colour paint and then put it on. The plan is, therefore, I'm going to very thinly paint on a mix of essentially acrylic paint, airbrush thinner, and fabric medium. Again, my research, I found the ratios. Very little of the fabric medium, because you don't really need a fat lot, because again, the difference was quite negligible. And because it is technically fabric, even though it's, plastic coating, it should be treated as such. But luckily, these armour pieces don't have much, there won't be too much movement in them. The only movement, really, are the forearm pieces and the lower leg pieces, which will be, taken off and on. But once they're on me, they're not going to do much movement. The only exception might be the elbow pieces, but I am going to cut out a little bit more of that. So yes, get colour, paint on, find an appropriate gloss paint, like, again, fabric medium. I'm still doing research, but that should be it, I reckon. Plan today. Mix the paint. At the very least, get the colour done. Now, I have an idea. Mix as much paint as I can, ideally in something this size. I'll probably end up just using this as the base because it's mostly white, and then go add whatever I need, green, turquoise, blue, whatever, to make the iconic Tigatron teal. Trademark. I'm rambling now. I'm just going to try and mix and paint and see what happens. I have the hex code. I'm going to try and get to that as close as I can. And I know I am aware that the hex code is for screen, but on my computer, that's the colour I'm going for. Wish me luck. Right. The lighting is coming from all over the place, coming from the window, I've got the light behind me and above me. Just take it from me. Here is where I'm at. I have done a test sort of batch, which looks as near and damn it to the hex code I picked. And it's not too bad. So I've done a mix of, let's see, obviously white, not as much white as I thought, but a little bit of, how do you pronounce that? Cerulean blue, a lot more viridian, and I just added just now a bit of light green. So in terms of like parts, I'd say 1, 2, 4, and then maybe 7 or 8 of that, and that's got me that colour so far, which I quite like the look of. But then I looked at some many screenshots that I have of Tigatron, and even within the same scene, he looks slightly... Look! Even his face and his legs look different from each other. Do you know, I've also struggled with colouring him when digitally painting, because, you know, the eyedropper tool can only do so much for you. And I'm just like, look at... So, on my recording, it doesn't look that good, so it looks a little bit bluer greeny than that, but can you see that there's a difference even just between that and this is the same scene? Well, okay, not the same scene. This, he gets crushed and then he gets not crushed, and it's just like, man. Parcel. I'm going to add a bit more of the green, possibly, let's see what else I've got, possibly sap green. I'm just going to experiment, but I'm glad I did a small patch first, because that would have been annoying. But at least I've got, if I do run out, I've got the names of all of the greens, as opposed to just ish, like lighter green, greenish. So yeah, I shall persevere. Don't mind that. That's just dry stuff from the blue. I took some notes from an aromatherapy type course I did a few months ago, and I've just kept a tally of the number of drops I have used so far. So it's been mostly white and viridian, and then like droplets to get this to a more sort of matched colour to Tigatron. But yeah, let's just see. Again, this is very hard to tell on a screen that I'm recording with a different camera, but this looks very so super close. I'm just going to add like a few more drops of maybe the cerulean blue and then put it on a test piece and see what happens. Okay, I think happy with this. This is the concoction, this is the ratio, and this is the test piece. I obviously have only just globbed it on so that once it's dry I can see what it looks like. Yay! I've ended up using all 5 of these in some capacity. It's do you know, it's weird. I don't usually use, you know, physical paint, but this looks so different than on there. Plate, piece, different, irritating. But I'll give this a bit to dry and then see how it looks, and then yes. What I ended up doing after a fruitless trip into town and found not a single bottle of white acrylic paint, only ready mixed or paint, is I came home and emptied out a half-empty shampoo bottle and I have done a mix of the Tigatron teal in that. I think it looks fairly decent. I've had to take the shampoo label off of it. I'm very tempted to write "not shampoo" on this because you never know, one day could be very tired and that would be very bad. The next thing to do is to cover all the pieces. I mean, I would need to do that anyway, and I think it's about 50-50 ratio for green and white, so I think I'll do that. That's it. Yay! Okay, I have decided to take this off and start again. I am not, however, going to take these pieces off because no. I have just done a test spray for the airbrush paint. The first one I did was a little too thick, so I had to add more thinner. I think it's because the bottle said a 1:3 ratio, but then I realised that was a 1:3 ratio with airbrush paint. So I had to compensate quite a bit for not only the acrylic paint that I used, but also the fabric medium that I added. Not much, but enough to thicken it even more, I think. But I'm quite pleased with how it's looking. Here, I'll show you. This is still drying, of course. You can see the shimmer. And yeah, it's not 100% even because I'm not very good at this, but I think with enough layers, it's going to look pretty good. And the bits that are dry, you have obviously lost the sheen of the white, but that's what the gloss medium will be. And yeah, I knew that this was going to take a long time with many layers, but I think I may have underestimated just how many layers I would need to be doing. Ideally, I would use a big spray thing, like one of these industrial things you see in rooms, but all I have is this little thing, which, again, I'm not very good at using because I've only used it once before, and that was on the gut gun. Well, watch this space. Another thing, I have got to make sure that I spray the correct pieces and tape off the correct bits. But I'm going to pull out the chart. Not the chart, sorry, the diagram. Here it is, the incredibly technical drawing that I have somehow managed to keep a hold of since the beginning of this project. So there's still one piece left to build, and that is that piece that links to that. But yeah, we'll get to that later. So I just need to figure out which bits are in green. And of course there are two pieces where they're different. That and the leg. So Oh god, and these need building as well. Okay, we'll get to that. My point is, I need to make sure I make the correct bits green, otherwise I will be very angry with myself. I have done a few more layers. I know the lighting's not great, but I'll do some proper, looks later. From a distance. Yeah. I've had a look at it in some natural light and, ooh, I'm really pleased with the colour. Well, everyone, I've sanded the helm to as near as I could possibly tolerate, so now it is time to prime. Nearly out of primer. But since this is going to be mostly white and it's mostly looking uniform with the primer, I've got about 4 or 5 layers on here already. I'm going to focus on getting the face as white as possible so that the green looks right. This is why I'm not cut out for this YouTube thing, because I didn't realise that the camera had stopped recording. Anyway, let me just show you the progress I've made, such as it is. I have done a very, very light, splotchy layer on each of these pieces, but this stupid thing keeps... That's obviously not it. It splatters every now and again. I don't know if that was what was caught on the last bit of video, but... Also, it's a very cold day, so it is... What choice do I have? It's March in England. So I'm just going to layer upon layer upon layer until it's done, pretty much. There's not really much more to say. There's also evidently no point in filming if I can't tell when the damn thing is actually recording, so we shall see. The tent is on my desk. Ooh, it's tall. Why did I bother showing that? It's on my desk, which means I can either stand or sit at it while I do stuff. Now, I have done a test patch in the middle because all of this, as you can now see in differing light, is patchy as all hell. So, I paint it first, and then I spray to get rid of the paint streaks, which seems to be working. So, meow. So that is what I shall do. I won't be filming it because it will be tedious and take a long, long time with many, many layers, even with the painted layer on first. So, yeah, I'll just come back to you when I'm done. What the? I know I said I wasn't going to film, and I was mostly telling the truth, but I thought I'd give you a bit of a progress update. So the paint layer was a good idea. So, obviously, streaky, but less streaky. So that, I'm going to have a few more layers, and then it'll all look nice and uniform. And I must say, I'm quite pleased with how it's looking so far. Yay!
Last time on Beast Wars.
Okay, I have decided to take this off and start again. I am not, however, going to take these pieces off because they're... no.
I decided to cut a new base piece out of 10mm foam, which, by the way, needed to be flattened because of the rolled-up nature of the foam. Yes, it's still black. I should have got white. Leave me alone. My plan was to take off the raised details from the original and simply transfer onto the new base to save on time. But alas...
Well, that was a pain in the arse. I did attempt to take some stuff off this, but no. The only bits I could salvage were these things, because I just sliced them off. Everything else I've recreated in more foam, and I have flattened this new piece as much as I could under a heavy weight, but I'm going to do that again anyway. I'll reinforce it with some board and then put it under a great weight again. I shall cover all of these in the spandex and just come back at another point when it's all done. But my neck is killing me from all the fiddly sort of that I've been doing at the desk, so I'll come back to you in a bit. I have cut out a support for the back, and before anyone asks, why didn't you just make it out of this to begin with? Because I did not think of it, so shh, leave me alone. I bought some, I suppose, a belt strap for, like, I don't know, a hippopotamus, but it will anchor that to it as well. So I'm just going to figure out where exactly on my body this will go. And yeah, work from there. Okay, off camera I have started covering the base piece and just positioned these, and it is already looking much better, much cleaner, even though it was a pain in the backside. Look, to me it still looks like a face. Here, I'll make him angry. Grr. Okay, anyway, the plan is I shall cover the sides properly, and also the underside will need covering as well, just to kind of hide any of the ugliness. I won't be too neat with it, but I'll just kind of fold and make nice, and also that'll help clean up / cover / seal these seams. I did consider doing it with a small piece of cardstock, but I don't know if I can be bothered to do that, but we shall find out. Okay, of all things that I thought would give me trouble on this build, it's certainly been not what I expected. Per exemple, the legs, the lower legs specifically, that was fun, with the zip and the poppers and the magnets and all sorts of nonsense. But now I have run into a new problem, mostly of my own making. Aren't those the worst? The crotch plate is, for lack of a better term, it's wonky. I don't know how. I thought I'd measured the new pieces that took so long to that they're just bad. It's just bad now. I thought I had placed it properly, and it looked all symmetrical and nice, and then it was not. Because I when I put those little bits under the middle bit, I was like, these are perfectly symmetrical. What's happened? Apparently the bottom tip was just off, and I was like, I thought I'd measured it. Now it looks wrong and I can't unsee it. Also, here, say hello to the cat. Also, looking back at the progress fit check that I did a while back, I think it's too big. I did wonder that when I made the second one. Like, maybe I can make it a bit smaller? Nah, it'll be fine. I definitely need to make it smaller. I don't know how much smaller. I'm going to have to do some calculations, but this time I'm going to save myself the faff of foam and then gluing it onto something solid. I'm going to make it out of something solid. Not MDF or anything, because that could still... But I will get my cardstock that I have used for the support at the back of the current version 2, and I'll just make it out of that. I've got the saw, I can cut it, and also, when it comes to the extra bits, I can cut those with my Cricut, because they don't have to be as thick and deep, and also, Another reason why I think the measurement went a bit skew-if on version 2 is because I had masked out where the green was, the white around it with masking tape, which was such a faff to A, make, and B, put on smoothly. So my thinking is I will just use one extra layer of the cardstock and raise it up a bit. I think that will work quite nicely. This just requires doing it. Blech. What a waste. A waste of material, waste of time. That realization that I'm going to have to do this crotch again. What am I going to do with the other two? Make wings out of them? Yeah, I will get on with that. Flynn, here, give me good internet content. Yes. He has been the most useless assistant, getting his fur into the air so it falls onto the fresh paint, being noisy when I'm trying to talk on camera, but I can't be mad at him forever. Look at that face. Anyway. Right, let's figure this stupid thing out. Old version. Do you like my trousers, by the way? Thought I'd get into it, into the character. This, bit big. Not so much here, but there. So, I have these, which are a little too narrow, but perfectly wide enough, and theoretically if I'm only going to go a little bit smaller, then it should be fine. I'm going to have to put it on my Cricut to get all the sizes correct, because I'm not hand cutting these stupid things again. And because I'm theoretically making them out of this, maybe just 2 layers, then I don't have to. Hooray! And they'll be nice and uniform. And hopefully all I would need to do is prime it without having to put the white stuff on. Because I'm already, and by that I mean the spandex, because I'm already not putting the spandex on the helmet because, no. Other bits that won't, he's going to be a little mismatched. But in my defence, he's already mismatched because this bit of his leg is white but not fur. Somehow. It's weird. So, Tigatron's weird, but that's fine. We love him anyway. Right, I shall make the template.
I hopped into Krita, however you pronounce it, and used the original piece as well as reference images to make a nice symmetrical template that I could convert to an SVG and send to my Cricut.
This is going to take a while. It said it requires 12 passes. And I'll only know if the cuts are happening in the right place once the first pass is done. So yeah, watch this space. Flynn, get off. Pieces cut, neck sore, soul crushed, stupid wobbly bits.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Do not lose these pieces, these little pieces. I'll be so annoyed if they disappear. I thought this might amuse when I uploaded just the outline. The AI feature in Cricut Design Space decided to show me various underpants. Which, yeah, I guess is somewhat true. It is now too late for me to do any more cutting because I am a considerate neighbour and I do not want to be a nuisance. I am very... I've just spent the last 10 minutes. This took a lot of, not effort, well, yes, effort, but it took a lot of strain. I have essentially... I have destroyed what took so long to make because rather than farting around with layering more chipboard, I already have the bases of this. So what I shall do is I shall place I've got one unruined piece of chipboard and I will stick that on there I will make sure it glues overnight, and I will use, it's rolled up so I don't know why I'm showing you, the templates that I printed to then cut the thing tomorrow. So that is the old attempt, well, attempt number 2, stuck onto a new board. And this is the new piece. You just have a look at the size comparison. I have no idea what kind of percentage difference that is, but you can see I'm going to have to be very careful here. So what I will do, just to start, I'm going to cut along this line. It's the safest, it's the straightest, and then I'll chop that bit off. I'm a grown-up, I swear. Okay, I've trimmed this down, but I am so nervous about getting this in the right place because of the belt. So I'm just going to have to go very slowly indeed. It looks really good. I didn't film any of the rest of the cutting because frankly that was just boring and me doing this. But it looks really good. Let me show you. Ta-da! Look how symmetrical! Yay! I routed the edge here to give it a bit of a smoother gradient, and sanded the inside as well. And yeah, everything is now stuck down, ready to be primed. Still deciding if I can be bothered to make something for this. I'll probably do that out of paper if I do, but take 3 has become a success. Hooray! Yes, it's solid. I am a grown-up. I'll prime it, paint it,